Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yosh. I'm gonna get a little bit more comfortable on this really odd chair. I've changed up my scene a little bit, which is different. And I'm gonna make a few more creaking noises, I guess. And hopefully I stay straight. But this week we're talking about annoying feature number 1 of the mind, which is that your strongest intuitions are often wrong. Like, getting a better job, getting a better body, having love, this, that, and the other. We think that will make us happy, but eventually it does not, because we've explained this in the playlist that you're currently watching right now. So how do we combat that? That's exactly what we're going to talk about this week in this video. So let's get into it. Okay, so the annoying features of the mind tell you that you want a better job, get a better, car, better house, this, that, and the other. And we know from evidence that we've shown so far that it doesn't exactly do that for us. Like, a better job might come with more restrictions, more responsibilities, less time, affluence, stuff like that. So how do we combat that? So in this video, I think what we're going to talk about specifically is better wanting. And better wanting counteracts all of this stuff. So it's not essentially saying don't go after a job, don't go after a relationship, don't go after a car, etc., etc. It's more about teaching yourself how to want these stuffs in better ways. Like, for example, let's take the point of a job. In a job, you don't just look at the money, or you don't just compare yourself to like financial income and how that will equate, because that's a completely false intuition of yours, saying that more money will help you become happier. Incorrect. So how do we work around that? It's not like you can just live on the dole or live off handouts from people. How do you work around it? You still have to get a job, right? So in that situation, what we do is we teach ourselves how to want things better. So if you are looking for a job and you do find a job, even though, like, let's say for example you get job number A and job A and job B, and job A pays significantly higher, but job B sort of works to your core strengths, like your signature strengths. And this is something that I did at the start of the course, and there are so many tools that you can do online through websites which can sort of tell you what your core strengths are. If you find a job that pays less but it still applies your core values and core strengths, then chances are that's gonna intrinsically reward you from your own existence, because you are not fighting against the grain. You are just being who you are, and you are using one of your key strengths in your job every day. And when you do that, we realize that we feel a little bit happier and feel more fulfilled in our workplace. Additionally, you can always find a job that puts you into flow state more often. And this is a really nice one that sort of I can work with in terms of an example, because filmmaking for me, this chair is like, filmmaking for me is one of those jobs where it actually uses one of my signature strengths, which is truth and honesty. So I love talking about stuff that I know. I love talking about things that I studied, and I enjoy making these videos for you guys. I'm not making these for fame. I'm making these because I actually want to, and by saying this stuff out loud and by repeating them, I get better at remembering them myself and inculcating it into my life. That's number 1, right? And then on top of that, something that puts me into flow state, again, filmmaking. I can sit in front of an editing station and just edit videos for like 8 hours straight without even worrying about whether I have to go and pee or whether I have to go and eat and do all these other stuff that I'm supposed to be doing as an adult. Adulting can be really hard, so I don't like it as much. But this is true for all of us. This is a good example. Like, filmmaking for me is that. Like, it has a component of my signature strengths, like it works in with my signature strengths, and then on top of that, I also get into flow state during one stage of the process. and even when I'm talking to the camera, I get into flow state. Like there's multiple recordings that you guys never see that I start off, like I warm up, like just like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes worth of stuff. I'm just going, hey, my name is Yosh, hey, my name is Yosh, hey, I'm just doing a sound test, hey, check this out, hey, I'm in a frame, blah, blah, blah. So you guys don't see that, but it's there. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see some of that stuff. It's cringy ass, but whatever. The other one was better grades. How do you want better grades? So we know that grades really don't matter. In terms of your emotional well-being, grades really don't matter. We've talked about this extensively in the earlier videos, but what you can stop and what you can do to sort of want from grades a little bit better is that you stop doing the act of learning for the sake of learning, you know? Like grades in itself act against you and your love, your intrinsic love of learning. It's not like kids intentionally ask you what the gaps between the teeth of a comb are. They're just curious. Like these kind of questions annoy adults all the time, but the truth is that kids just want to learn the stuff they want to learn. They don't care whether the comb is called a comb and the teeth are called teeth in a comb. They just want to know what the gaps in between the teeth are called. And you're just like, as an adult, dude, just like chill out and accept the fact that these are teeth and there's gaps between the teeth. Alright, like, but the kids don't care because they learn because they want to learn that. They are instinctively learning for the sake of learning as opposed to getting grades. So in the process of looking at better grades, I think you should just focus on what you're learning and why you're learning and why it's important for you to sort of do something that you're truly passionate about and about learning, like this course for me, and that in itself will be the reward. And sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. Like I've truly enjoyed this. I'm not going to get a certificate at the end of this from Yale, but I really enjoy going through this course, and it has improved me to a completely different level. And I haven't studied in a long time because I was actually scarred by this whole process that we're talking about. Like it's grade after grade after grade after grade, and you're just like, ugh, it's too much. Like it's annoying. Yeah, extrinsic motivation can undermine your intrinsic motivation. So yeah, those are the two words that I was looking for. I've actually written it down for me. So when you don't focus on grades and you learn for the sake of learning, you actually bring it back inwards to yourself and you learn for the actual point of intrinsic motivation. Like you are motivated internally by yourself to learn what you want to learn, as opposed to extrinsically or externally motivated, because if you get a good grade, you'll get a good pass in the exams, you'll get a honors in your degree, and that will lead you to a better job. Like you're just constantly living in the future. It's just not worth it. The second thing is, if you're always after grades, and grades, let's say if you are a weak student, grades might help you sort of give a good idea of where you can improve and what you can do better, but more often than not, people who are concerned about grades are often really good and getting grades, and this in turn sort of hamstrings them because it undermines a growth mindset. So a growth mindset, like we spoke about before, is a mindset where you're always believing that you can improve yourself and you're constantly sort of working through. You want to hear criticism, you want to know what you've done badly, you want to know what you've done well, you want to be able to sort of work through all of that stuff at your own pace because you want to grow. You want to go to the next level. So these are two ways to sort of better want grades. Instead of just looking for the A or HD or whatever it is, think about why you're studying it and study it for the sake of studying because you want to. And then externally, don't undermine your growth mindset, and then use that growth mindset to constantly sort of keep yourself in check and go, am I doing this better? Am I improving this? Is my backdrop better? Growth mindset, you know? Another one that we can sort of look at is kindness. You know, Otake et al. 2006 they looked at what happy people versus sad people are motivated to sort of do things as opposed to, you know, sad people. So we can see that happier people are kinder people are happier, and the happier people, because they are kind, tend to be more motivated to do more kind things, which in turn feed back into a happier state. They also recognize kind things. So when another person does something kind, you recognize that and you are thankful for that, and you sort of, that improves your boost, and also you tend to go and say, you've done well, thank you very much for being that kind, and it improves the other person's emotional well-being as well. And these people are externally sort of motivated because of all of these systems, so this feedback loop, to behave more kindly towards others in the first place. So it's like this positive feedback loop as opposed to a negative feedback loop. No one wants to hang around with the fussy, complainy, oh god, this is not good, same shit, different day sort of person. You're just like, yeah man, everything's good, like, it's great. Working through some stuff, but such is life. You work through stuff, I work through stuff, like, get through it. Everyone wants to be around a person like that who's sort of constantly moving forward or sort of believes in themselves to be improving. And if you approach life and other people with kindness, it tends to feedback positively for you. Dunn et al. 2008, the amount of money is irrelevant compared to doing a kind thing for someone else. This is also, Dunn et al. Proves this again in terms of kindness. Like, let's say I've give you $5. One group gets $5, one group gets $15, and they say spend it on yourself or spend it on someone else. Generally, the people who spent whatever on someone else were happier as opposed to the people who spent it on themselves. $5 is a really nice one because it's usually the price of a cup of coffee. But people who still gave it out and donated and sort of was kind to other people were happier by the end of it, and that's what Dunn et al. In 2008 figured out. Atkin et al. This kindness thing moves across international, state, national, cultural, socioeconomic classes as well. It doesn't matter where you do this. They did the same kind of test in Uganda, where they sort of measured it across multiple people who have different socioeconomic classes, income levels and stuff, and it sort of like AIDS medication and stuff like that. It did not matter whether they used it, whether the amount of money was larger or it was smaller, or what the actual thing was that they were working with in terms of the test. It's just that in terms of the results, the people who gave to others, they were happier. So this goes to show that this is a universal thing. Everyone can be kind, and kindness definitely affects everyone in the same sort of way, regardless of whether you are rich or poor. And another thing that sort of plays into that is that time is definitely more valuable than money. A lot of people in the business world and a lot of people in the startup world, it's like this hustle culture, this like toxic positivity stuff. I was part of that a while back ago. Like, it felt like, yes, do it. You've got to get somewhere, sort of like this drive sort of like, it almost resonated with me because it sort of aligned with my passion and my pace. But it was affecting me so negatively that I didn't realize how badly I was crashing every time I failed and every time I met adversity, right? Guys like, Gary Vee, I don't think they're intrinsically doing that to be toxically positive. Gary Vee often, like, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee, and Gary Vee often says, like, you just got to push through the limits. You got to never let yourself give up. And that sort of stuff is what he's saying, right? But a lot of other people who are trying to mimic his energy and mimic his style sort of go, yeah, everything's great, everything's awesome, everything's happy, yay, just keep going, just, hustle culture, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work, because you have to accept the fact that you are a human being. Like, you will fail, and when you fail, you will find yourself a little bit sadder than you were before. Your emotional well-being will drop. And if you don't sort of accept that stuff and move forward in a way that is positive to you, you will just end up sort of doing more damage to yourself and your overall intrinsic motivation as to why you started that, right? And more people end up giving up because of that. And time is definitely more valuable than money, right? The wealthier you get, the less time you get. So your time value increases. So, it doesn't matter where you're going from, as long as you understand that time is super important for yourself to do the things that you want to do. And I'll talk to you about that in just a second, because, we're going to talk about time affluence in just a second. Another way to sort of better want stuff is social connection. So what is the opposite of loneliness? There's no word for it, but it definitely is what adds to your emotional well-being. A lovely lady called Myers in 2010 sort of looks at, I think a lovely lady, I'm pretty sure. Don't research Myers 2000. Let's just leave it at that. when you are socially connected, people who have more social connections, people who have more friends that they can sort of count out in their hand, people who are more like sort of open and have more social connections in general, not just friends, not just best friends, like actual social connections, even with just like acquaintances and stuff, they tended to have less premature deaths. They ended up surviving fatal diseases, illnesses, and they were less likely to fall prey to stressful events because of that. And another study that proves that social connection is definitely better for your emotional health, emotional well-being. I was going to say health, and it all just got muddled up. Social connection is better for your emotional well-being is Diener and Seligman in 2000. They did a study where people who had close friends and had strong family ties and a good romantic tie ended up being much more happier in the overall scheme. I'm not going to try and describe all these experiments because it just takes too much time, but just know that these experiments were conducted in a certain scale and they are, research papers that were published and sort of peer reviewed and stuff. Close friends have more strong family ties and more romantic relationships or more romantic ties. Like, I'm not saying like multiple romantic influences, but what I mean is like they do have someone that they can, a significant other that they can sort of relate to, sort of relate their goods and the bads with. They were much better emotionally and their emotional well-being was scoring much higher than those that did not. Just spending time with people in general in that same study proves that, if you're time alone, with time with family and friends and lovers, just spending time with other people flat out improves your emotional well-being, and time alone actually brings down your emotional well-being, which is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up at this point in time. Like, COVID-19 is one of those things that's sort of forced us into isolation. So take the time that you actually need once, like when you can, through even video call. It's important to go and talk to someone. It's important to sort of keep in touch with your friends, because by doing that, your emotional well-being will take a little bit of a hit and it'll sort of improve. But the longer you sort of stay in a rut and the longer you stay inside your house, surrounded by the things that you're always surrounded by, and no interaction with other people that you are either living with or by yourself, you're just gonna take a massive hit onto your emotional well-being, and that does not help you cope through a global pandemic. So go and call your friends. Do it now. Actually, don't do it now. Finish the video, then go call your friends. Actually, do what you want. I'm not your dad or your parent. Oh, anyway, these previous two studies were talking about family, lovers, acquaintances, stuff like that. What about strangers? Like, does it affect you if you just talk to strangers? And Epley and Schroeder in 2014, they did this on a train and on a bus. And most people, when they get onto public transport, they sort of plug in headphones and they think that no one wants to talk to you and you don't want to disturb them. You don't want to be rejected, all that stuff. Turns out Epley and Schroeder actually did this test on a public transport system, one on the train, one on the bus, and they told one set of the people, the control, do what you normally do. So either you read a book or you work or you plug in your headphones and do nothing, whatever it is. And then one set of people were told you must strike up a conversation, you must create a connection. Oh, excuse me, I forgot my cup of coffee. This is what it is, Anyway, one set of the subjects were told you must make a connection. You must sort of talk to the person next to you and try and initiate a conversation, say hello, whatever it is. And one group was told to be in solitude. And across the board, not only was the person who made a connection happier, but also the person who was spoken to was heaps happier, even though they were doing emails and even though they were doing listening to headphones and stuff like that. People, more often than not, you can't erase where we come from. There's some evolutionary biology that you can't ignore, and that is the fact that we are social creatures and we love being talked to. We love to be said hello to, that sort of thing, no matter how grumpy you are. Another study that proves this, Boothby et al. 2014, and I'm running through this because there's a lot to cover, right? Just being around another person, or even if it's a stranger, makes positive experiences even better. This experiment, I'm not going to explain too much, but it was sort of having chocolate by yourself or watching a movie by yourself versus having chocolate with another person, sort of having chocolate with you that you didn't know, versus watching a movie while another person is watching the movie with you. And turns out the chocolate tasted better and the movie was funnier when you were around someone else. So there you go. I love going to the movies with someone else. Like, I've done the whole go to the movie theater alone thing before, but I need someone to just go, dude, did you see that? And then everyone's like, shh. Have some fun. Cut loose, man. I don't know. Here's my favorite one. This is one of my favorite things of sort of better wanting is time affluence. Even when you're looking for a job, a relationship, whatever it is, one of the important questions that I've failed to ask myself in the past that now I'm actively asking all the time is, do you have the time to do what you want to do? Do you have enough time in the day to do nothing, right? Without ever feeling strapped for time. Honestly, when I was working permanently in the hospital, I did not. I felt like there was never enough time. The weekend was always too short, blah, 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 blah. And now that I'm working on casual and the rostered system is set up in such a way that I feel like it's not like I necessarily have more time. I'm actually working the same hours. It's just that the way it's spread out during the week has amounted to me having more time with the things that I want to do. I love playing video games and I love hanging out with my best friends. Like, I've known these guys since I was in grade 6, and playing video games is one of the highlights of my week. And I know it adds to my emotional well-being. So being able to sort of do that every weekend but still earn enough money for me to sort of be financially secure, it's perfect. Like, I've got the perfect job, right? And I'm very, very content with where I am in terms of that, even though it's not the most prestigious. I might never be able to buy a Porsche with that, but we all know that that's not going to improve my emotional well-being as much as I think it will, right? So this is proven by Willens et al. In 2006, where some people who A, values time over money, and B, values money over time, and they asked, who are you more like? And then, how happy are you? And people who valued time over money tended to be happier. That's a very, very brief way of putting it. And I put like symbols and stuff. I don't know whether you guys can see, but I put it into symbols because the study was actually much, much, much more impressive than that, but I had to sort of summarize it. Mogilner 2010, sorry about the name, even just thinking about time affluence makes you happier. Just even thinking about having more time to do stuff that you enjoy doing, even thinking about having a nap, even thinking about having the time to have a nap, even thinking about having the time to do nothing, even thinking about having the time to just sit there with your significant other and just have a cup of coffee or something, doing nothing else, makes you happier. So you can't feel time affluence if you are worried about the opportunity cost of time. So this is super important. This plays back into another component, which is better wanting of a job. Like, sometimes you'll look at a job opportunity and it'll come up and you'll see that it pays higher, but at the same time, you might be asked far too much in terms of your time affluence to get paid that significant financial increase. So more often than not, I've found personally that these make me less happier than I would be with a job that lets me sort of do whatever I want to do, which is why I'm currently in the process of working towards financial independence. So the FIRE principle, if you have not heard of that, not the FIRE festival, but the FIRE principle, financial independence, retire early. That's what FIRE stands for. Have a look into it. Like, that's super interesting, and it's something that we can do in this generation, and it's something we must sort of do in this generation if we want to sort of be much more productive citizens of Earth in general, right? Anyway, the next one is mind control, right? We have minds that shift our focus from things that are often in the here and now and the task at hand to self-generated thoughts and feelings, right? This is called mind wandering. And this happens because of what we call the default network in our brain. This is the place in our brain where we go to when we stop doing something active, right? And it's where daydreaming comes from. So the default network is kind of like a screensaver for your brain. As soon as you stop doing a task, the default network flips in, and here's the kicker. The default network is super fast. Compared to all of your other gray matter and white matter, the default network is significantly, orders of magnitudes faster. The neural connections in there are firing at a much higher pace. So, it's a part of the brain that literally kicks in about 53 milliseconds. As soon as you stop doing a task, it kicks in. It's so quick, it's faster than a screensaver. And this default network, it's the same, it uses the same neural pathways and through neural imaging, we can see that it's using the same areas in your brain that you use to look at the past. So you think about, like, you reminisce or nostalgia. It's also the same part of the brain that actually projects into the future, and it predicts and thinks about, what should I have for dinner? What should I do this? Will my thing work out? Will I get a good job? Will my interview go okay? Stuff like that. What other people think. Like these projections. Projections were great. That's one of the reasons why we survived the hunter-gatherer phase, but at this stage in time, it's actually negatively affecting us because we are thinking about all the wrong things, because it feeds off of annoying feature number one. So mind wandering actually is a cognitive achievement, but it's not making us happier. And this is written by Dan Gilbert, who wrote the book The Happy Pill. And I've linked it before, I think, but if I haven't, I'll probably link it down below. But how do we stop this? How do we stop mind wandering? Well, more hipster stuff headed your way, more emotional well-being, but these guys, they're onto something. Meditation. Meditation is the way to stop mind wandering and improve the rate at which you mind wander. Okay, so Brewer et al. Looked at, does meditation actually change how our brains fire? Does it make us less prone to be switching to the default network? And the answer is absolutely yes. Different kinds of meditation will light up different parts of our brain under a functional MRI, fMRI, and things like loving kindness meditation, breath meditation, and stuff like choiceless awareness meditation. They all work in different regions of the brain except the default network. So meditation definitely reduces mind wandering and definitely improves awareness of what is around you and the things that you have during and after. Definitely improves your emotional well-being. Another study looked at, does meditation actually make us happy if mind wandering makes us sad, which is what was proven in the previous study. And the answer to that is yes, it actually does. It does improve it because it stops you from mind wandering, and mind wandering leads you down paths where you are either nostalgia or you are projecting into the future, things that you might not have, things that you're worried about, might cause you anxiety, stuff like that. Nostalgia can be used in a way that can sort of evoke positive emotions, but it's a double-edged sword, really. Hosel et al. In 2011 looked at meditation also increases the production of gray matter in certain regions of the brain. It's literally a brain workout. So 30 minutes of meditation, I can't remember whether it was a week or, it probably is a week. Improved the gray matter production inside your brain, so by a significant degree. So meditating actually grows your brain, which is insane. I did not think that you could grow that muscle, but turns out you can. And I thought it was by doing algebra, but turns out it's by meditating. Who knew? I didn't. It's so counterintuitive, it's not even funny. Talk about annoying feature number one, right? Your greatest intuitions are often wrong. There you go. Mrazek et al. 2013, meditation also improved cognitive function I'm just reading out the outcomes of all of these studies instead of going too deeply into it. It's already close to 30 minutes, this video, so like I've got to be practical. Hutchison et al. 2008, meditation improved social closeness for target strangers, but also for any other social connection. So this one's specifically talking about loving kindness meditation, and that's the kind of meditation where you choose a target, a person that you care about, a person that you love, a person that you want to care for more, all that sort of thing, and you meditate on wishing them happiness, comfort, wish them away, I don't know, well-being, wish them, better well-being, happiness, contentment, good health, stuff like that. There's a chant that you can do with that, and that not only improves your emotional well-being, but it also improves your social closeness to people. You become slower to judge someone. You become slower to think the worst of someone. So that's proven by this study. And probably the last in this week's episode is healthy practices. So healthy practices, as seen by Babiak et al. In 2001, number one is exercise. I don't know how many people during my time when I was depressed told me to go and exercise, and I didn't because I just couldn't move my ass off the sofa. But if you exercise 3 times a week, and if you sort of get your heart rate into a cardio zone, so think of a HIIT workout, 30 minutes, right? 30 minutes for 3 times a week. That's it. 30 minutes on Monday, 30 minutes on Wednesday, 30 minutes on Friday, and your emotional well-being skyrockets more than all of the other systems and stuff that I've talked about before. The other stuff are actually sustaining emotional well-being. To give yourself a real big hit of emotional well-being, nothing cuts it like exercise. Simple as that. I just want you to take that as it is. Improves your emotional well-being, reduces relapse rates in depressed people, and it actually cured depression. That's the study that Babiak et al. did with depressed people, clinically depressed people. Hillman et al. In 2008 also did a research on whether it improves cognitive performance. Yes, it does. Exercise actually almost doubles cognitive performance for both young and old subjects. Number 2, in terms of healthy practices, is sleep. I am guilty of this. I'm guilty of killing sleep a lot. But I'm getting better. I'm doing my best to get better. I'm working towards it every day. Dinges et al. 1997. 7.4 hours versus 4.98 hours is that's the sleep amount that the subjects had. 7.5 hours to do a complex physical and mental task. Both instances, when you had 7.5 hours of sleep, you were physically stronger and physically better equipped to sort of handle that situation, and you were equally as strong mentally in terms of emotional well-being and stuff. Whereas if you were running on 4.98 hours, I've heard people say 5 hours is plenty. It's not. Nowhere close to it. You need 7.5 hours minimum, right? And it improved cognitive function through the roof. Walker et al. Proves this in 2002 with his study. Sleep literally doubles cognitive performance. So cramming for exams overnight, bad idea. It's not going to work. You're going to just suffer when it comes to actually sitting at the exam. You're better off getting sleep. Wagner et al. 2004, insight learning, right, improves 3 times after sleep. So these things are not studies that have just been done for the sake of being done. They've actually just worked on top of research on top of research. So someone found out that sleeping more actually improves you physically and mentally. One person went on to go and say, okay, does it also improve cognitive performance? Yes, it does. It also, someone went and said, well, does it also improve insight learning? Yes, it does. point is, we are riddled with annoying features of the mind, and especially annoying features of the mind. Number one, which is that our greatest intuitions are often wrong. We think that grades are more important than sleep, so you study before an exam overnight, which is going to be to your detriment. We give up our time affluence just to work for $150,000 more, but you fail to realize how unhappy that will make you because you don't have the time to do the things that you want to do. We think that other people are stupid and we hate the world and people are annoying, but at the same time, you are also people. We people, bro. You people, me people, we people. So as social creatures, avoiding people, chances are you'll suffer in terms of emotional well-being because you feel like you don't have some social connections. And I'm not talking about these introvert extrovert sort of thing. Like, some people function at different levels and at different frequencies. That's okay. That's not what I mean. People who sort of isolate themselves saying, I don't want friends ever again, I never want to fall in love again, I never want to do X, Y, Z, I never want to talk to this person again, I never want to blah, 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 blah. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. You are a social creature, and as such, you will truly, truly, truly suffer in terms of emotional well-being if you don't address the fact that you are a beast of burden. Like, we are social. So go be social. Things like sort of getting caught up in the past or the future or what will be or what has been, always sort of like drifting into the future spaces instead of being present right here, right now, is gonna affect your emotional well-being in a very negative state. Will I heal? Will I be able to go home? Will I be able to, meet someone who makes me feel like I'm understood? Will I be able to afford this thing? Will I be able to get this job? Will my interview turn out okay? Will I get good grades? Like, these are all completely pointless questions. They're valuable to get answers to, but the answers will come. But then worrying about them right now and sort of messing with your own mindfulness in this moment right here is no point. So practice meditation. When you meditate, you sort of allow yourself or teach yourself to pull yourself out of the sort of screensaver mode inside your head, which is called the default network. You pull yourself out of it. So when you do that, you immediately will see the benefits of your cognitive performance. You sort of become more present. I know these words are like really super hipster, but trust me, I've been doing meditation. It's actually what I chose for the end coursework in this course. There's no exams to write. Like, I've written a few exams and that's sort of like double checking whether I understand all this information, which I did, which I aced, not because I wanted to get 100 out of 100, it's just because I've been doing these videos and it helps me remember, so I remember. And when they ask a question, I'm like, yep, I know what it is. But yeah, I've taken meditation as one of those things, and I've been meditating straight for, I don't know, 2 weeks now, like out of 4 weeks. I'm supposed to be doing it for 4 weeks, and it is crazy good. Like, I've been working through so many problems, I've been working through so many issues that I've been avoiding for a long time. I didn't even realize I had so much internal trauma that I didn't even look at, and sort of following meditation has actually given me this stillness that allowed me to sort of look at myself with this magnifying glass, and also it gave me the strength to sort of look at myself with a magnifying glass. So I would highly recommend it. One of my friends recommended this app called Waking Up by Sam Harris. I'm not affiliated by him, none of that stuff, but I think his tutorial, I like his voice, which is really important. So if you don't like his voice, then don't worry about it. There's plenty of other applications that you can use, like Calm or a few others, I'm not really sure. But I like his voice, and his voice sort of is soothing, so I want to listen to what he's saying. And he's got guided trainings for like 50 days, and like he's got a free 30-day trial. So download that app. It's available on iPhone. I use iPhone. I'm not sure whether it's available on Android. I'm pretty sure it is. And just follow through the lessons, and he'll teach you every day how to meditate. And it's definitely not what I thought meditation was. I thought meditation was just emptying your mind and you becoming this vast expanse of nothingness inside your head. It's not it. It's not it at all, and I can't explain it in this video for taking far too long than I already have. It must be like 35 minutes now. Jesus, I need to learn to shut up. That said, thanks very much for watching. I hope you had a few good weeks here and there. Like, you know, things are going crazy right now all across the planet. It's so horrendous to see everything that is going on in the news, but at the same time, all of this stuff can be so easily resolved if they realize that someone else is you, right? Someone else's family is your family. Your country is someone else's country is my country. Someone else's world is my world. Like, you know, when I say like the same planet is ours, like we are all the same thing, but we're so caught up with all these differences. Anyway, like that's a little bit of wisdom for you. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. And the next video will be about week 6, and that'll go through 5 things better wanting, right? I think that one's carrying on some of this stuff. And that one's a little bit more of a smaller chunk, because this was the big lesson. Like week 5 was pretty rough to go through, which is why this one's long. So week 5's done. Week 6 is the last lesson in this course, and after that it's 4 weeks of meditation. So I'm already 2 weeks into that, which means that next video is the last one. I'm kind of sad. I'm gonna figure out a way to make more videos like this. I kind of like doing this. I just don't know what to talk about yet, but if I take a little bit of time to sort of think about it, I'm sure I can come up with something. And until that time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Do all the things that YouTubers tell you to do, and have an amazing day. See ya. Oh, my knees. Every time I sit down in these chairs and I sort of sit down in like folded knee position, like my knees give out, dude. Anyway. Later. I'm gonna have a cup of coffee, I think.